Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Legacy. My name's Noah Mitchell and I'm the Senior Learning Experience Designer here at Legacy FM. And today I want to talk to you about something that I have done for many years, which tends to be the case in a lot of these videos. If you've watched them before, I talk about things that usually I have personal experience with, which gives me great examples to use, right? So today I want to talk about saying I'm sorry. But more so, I want to talk about saying I'm sorry when you really don't need to. And so the fact of the matter is that saying I'm sorry isn't really a bad thing in and of itself. However, there are a lot of contexts, at least in my life, where I have just dealt with my anxiety and it's bubbled to the surface. And I've been so concerned about what people think about me that I end up saying I'm sorry like a fire hydrant, just kicking open the valve and letting the water just spray out at full force. Like, I'm so sorry, you all hate me. I know that I'm a horrible human being, I'm sorry, And so the problem with that, which you can already probably surmise, is that whenever we say I'm sorry in context, of course, the fire hydrant example is probably a little over dramatic, but still, you get the drift. When you say I'm sorry in contexts like that, it tends to exude this demeanor of low confidence and low self-esteem. And even I would venture to say in assuming that the people that you're working with or the people that you are saying I'm sorry to don't have enough emotional intelligence to understand that you're a human being. And so I really wanted to share this video because it's something I've been working on for quite some time, of getting away from saying I'm sorry and replacing it with phrases that achieve the same thing, but they exude more confidence and more professionalism, okay? And so let's go for an example. So let's say one day I have to go pick my daughter from school, which I do most days anyway, and traffic is a little bad. It's a little worse than usual. And I've got a Zoom meeting that's coming up in like 5 minutes, and I realize I'm not going to make it on time. I'll be about 5 minutes late. So usually I would, reach out to my boss, let her know to tell everybody else I'll be a little bit late. But when I get into that meeting, I feel guilty. I feel guilty for picking up my daughter. I feel guilty for getting caught in traffic. And so the first thing I want to say is like, oh my gosh, they probably think I'm so unprofessional. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that I was late, y'all. I had to pick up my daughter. I'm sorry it won't happen again. Something like that. When the reality is, it might happen again. And furthermore, it's not a bad thing. Picking up my daughter is not a bad thing. It's not something to be sorry about. And it's crazy that I would even think that way, but that's sort of how my brain works sometimes. But it's not something to be sorry about. And so what I've been trying to do is, instead of saying I'm sorry and feeling sorry for myself and, really projecting my unconfidence onto those other people, I try to remind myself they're people too. They understand that I have a life. So instead of saying I'm sorry, why don't I say something like this? Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you all for waiting for me to arrive. I really appreciate it. And so what you do is you achieve like the same outcome. You achieve the same resolution to that potential conflict of being late. But instead of seeming like unconfident or perhaps even unprofessional or anxious, you seem a lot more confident and professional and, just sure of yourself. Like, I'm not full of myself, but I know that, things happen, and I want you all to know that I appreciate you for accommodating that. So that's the first phrase I wanted to share with you. That's one phrase you can use to substitute your sorry in that context when it's really not needed. Another one, so for example, let's say I'm in a subject matter expert meeting and we come to a concept that I don't really understand as well. A lot of times in the past, I would be scared to ask that question because I'm sitting there thinking like, oh my gosh, if I ask them to explain this concept, they're explaining it to me like I should understand. Nobody else is saying anything, so I probably should understand. Well, the fact of the matter is that, sometimes maybe I do need to understand, but a lot of times it's not the case. I'm not a subject matter expert. That's why I'm interviewing them. And so I need them to help me understand it better. Well, usually what I would do is I would be really scared and kind of say, I'm so sorry. Could you explain that for me again? Could you explain that? I don't get it. I'm so sorry to waste your time. Sort of that sort of emotion, that sort of sorry. What I'm trying to replace that with now, first and foremost, is just saying, I didn't quite catch all of that. Would you mind explaining that better to me, or would you mind elaborating on that a bit for me so I can understand it better? And then after that, and again, after they explain, and hopefully I get what I need, instead of saying, I'm so sorry I had to put you through that and waste your time, appreciate it. Instead of saying that, I would say something now like, wow, that was great. Thank you so much for taking the time to explain that better, or for helping me understand that concept better. And again, you can see sort of that shift from the unconfident and anxious and worried about what people are going to think about me because I'm human. I shift that perspective again to, hey, we're both working professionals. That's what we're here for. I know you know your stuff really well. I don't know it as well. So thanks for, taking me on that journey with you. And then the last example I'll share with you is probably just when SMEs, subject matter experts, are giving me feedback. Obviously, I get a lot of feedback on my work, and sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it hurts because you work so hard on what you do. And I think in your mind, you think, well, nothing else could go wrong. This is just perfect the way it is. There will always be things that people point out. But instead of being sorry about that, again, because you're human, why not try to say something like, wow, thanks for pointing that out. I didn't see that before. Is there anything else maybe that you caught, or anything else you'd like to elaborate on there? I really appreciate it. I think it'll help us create a better product. And again, it's shifting the paradigm away from seeming unconfident and just unsure about yourself, and saying like, hey, no, I'm still sure about my work. I know I do good work, but you're helping me make it better by giving me that feedback. So I appreciate it. Thank you. So yeah, that's really all I've got for you today. I hope that helps some of you to reflect in those situations where maybe you feel like saying sorry, but you don't have to. Just remember this: you're human. The people that you're working with are human too. And more likely than not, they're going to understand. So instead of exuding the unconfidence and the anxiety, exude confidence and professionalism, and just create that stronger relationship between the two of you by using some of these alternative phrases. All right. Well, you all have an awesome day. We'll see you next time.